In Egypt, the people of Israel lived under Pharaoh's oppression. For years, they were forced to work as slaves, building cities and monuments for the king. Their suffering was great, and they cried out for freedom. God heard their cries and chose Moses to lead them to liberation. Moses, a Hebrew man who had grown up in Pharaoh's palace, was called by God through a burning bush in the desert. God gave him the mission to free his people and lead them to the promised land.
Go to Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go. For I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt. I will deliver them with a mighty hand."
Moses and his brother Aaron went to the royal palace and spoke with Pharaoh.
Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, so they may hold a feast for me in the wilderness.
But Pharaoh laughed and refused, making the Hebrews' workload even heavier. Because of the king's stubbornness, God sent 10 plagues upon Egypt, each demonstrating his power and justice. The waters of the Nile turned to blood, frogs covered the land, lice and flies tormented the Egyptians. Their livestock perished, boils appeared on their skin, hailstorms destroyed their crops, and locusts devoured what remained. Then, darkness covered Egypt for 3 days, but Pharaoh remained unyielding. Finally, the 10th and most dreadful plague came, the death of the firstborn. That night, the Israelites marked their doorposts with the blood of a lamb, as God had commanded. The angel of death passed through Egypt, taking the lives of the Egyptians' firstborn, but sparing the houses of the Hebrews. Crying and mourning filled the land, and at last, Pharaoh relented.
Go away. Leave Egypt and take everything you have with you.
The Israelites left in haste, carrying their belongings and the riches of Egypt. God guided them with a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. But soon after, Pharaoh regretted setting them free and gathered his army to pursue them. When the Israelites reached the shore of the Red Sea, they saw Pharaoh's army approaching quickly. Fear took hold of the people.
Moses, why did you bring us here to die in the desert? We would have been better off as slaves in Egypt than dead here.
Do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still.
Then God commanded Moses to lift his staff over the sea. Suddenly, a mighty wind blew, and the waters parted, forming a dry path through the middle of the sea. In awe, the people walked between the towering walls of water, guided by the hand of God. The Egyptians, determined to capture them, followed along the same path. But when the Israelites reached the other side, God told Moses to stretch his hand over the sea again. The waters returned to their place, swallowing Pharaoh's army and his chariots. Not one of them survived. The Israelites rejoiced greatly, praising God for their deliverance. The story of Moses and the parting of the Red Sea teaches us about faith, freedom, and the power of God. Even in the most desperate situations, God is always with us. And you, what did you learn from this story? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. See you in the next adventure